Good afternoon. My name is Kelechi Harama. I'm a student of Lagos State College of Health Technology, and today I'll be doing my second video on clinical chemistry test. And today we're looking at procedure for manual glucose test, both random and fasting. So first of all, the materials we need. First of all, we collect our sample. The sample for fasting. The patient must come fasting for at least 10 to 12 hours, and the sample must be collected in a fluoride bottle. This anticoagulant, it contains peroxalate. The fluoride there helps to preserve the glucose. It's an antiglycolytic agent. Then the oxalate is the anticoagulant there. Then after collecting the sample, we run the sample immediately to avoid breakdown of glucose. So the materials needed: first we need our micropipette. This is a 100 to 1000 range micropipette, 100 to 1000 microliter range of micropipette. And this is another micropipette. This is 10 to 100 microliter range of micropipette. Then also we need a glass pipette. This is a 10 ml glass pipette. This is a 10 ml glass pipette. And also we need tubes. We are running it for a patient, so we need 3 tubes. This is 3 test tubes. The first one is for the test, the second one is for blank, then the third one is for standard. Also, we also need a sample. This is the patient's plasma, which will be running test on, and also for distilled water. So first step, we get 2 ml of distilled water into each tube. So second step, using my 10 to 100 microliter range micropipette, I will pipette 20 microliter of for the first test tube, which is for the test. I will prepare 20 microliter of patient plasma. 20 microliter of patient plasma. Now this step is very sensitive, and we must be very careful when picking to avoid picking excess plasma or picking insufficient plasma, because this in return will affect the result. So we have to be very careful when picking. And please, when picking, when you see air bubbles, you discard and repick. So this is my 20 microliter of the patient plasma into the test tube for test, which is the first one. And you discard your tip, and you pick. Then for the next test, which is for blank, you are not to add anything to it. You leave it empty. So you are going to be left with only water here. For the blank, you leave it. You don't add any sample to it. Then the next one, which is the third test, which is for standard, you prepare 20 microliter of glucose standard. So this is glucose standard. This is glucose standard. It's part of the reagents that we need. This is glucose standard, 20 microliter of glucose standard. You have to be very careful also when picking. This is glucose standard. It's into the third test tube. Then we stir to obtain an homogeneous mixture. Mix gently. Then the next step, using my 1000 microliter pipette or 1 ml. This is a 1000 microliter pipette. I will pipette 1000 microliter or 1 ml of glucose reagent. This is our glucose reagent. So I'll pipette 1000 microliter, which is equivalent to 1 ml. Careful also when picking. I'll add it into the test tube for the first one test. Test tube for blank also, and for standard. So 1000 microliter of glucose reagent into the 3 tubes. Then I also mix gently to obtain an homogeneous mixture. Then incubate at room temperature for 20 minutes. So we incubated for 10 minutes. You can see the reaction. Though there are still some reaction happening. If you notice the middle tube, which is the test tube for blank, there is no color change there. It is plain. The color is still plain because there was no sample that was added to it. There was no sample added to it. But that of the test and standard gives us a pink color, showing that there's a reaction happening. As time goes on, the pink color become evident, become glaring. But for now, there are still some reactions happening, and the color is beginning to change to pink. This is our end result for a glucose and manual test. So the reason why we don't have any color in the blank, why there's no color change in the blank compared to the standard and test, is because there was no sample added to it, only glucose reagent and only distilled water. So that brings us to the end of glucose manual test. And the next thing we do is we measure the concentration of the glucose in the patient sample. And how do we do this? We read our results using the spectrophotometer. Now, spectrophotometer is a machine that measure the concentration in a solution using the principle of light waves. So what it does is that we turn the solution you have here into the cuvette, and we read the concentration using the wavelength of 520 nanometer. So whatever reading we get in the spec, we record it and use it to calculate the glucose concentration in the patient sample. So how do we go about it? We use this formula. The observance of the test, which is our patient sample, this observance is the reading on the spectrophotometer. We record the observance. It's usually in decimal form. So the observance of test divided by the observance of standard, which is also the reading on the spec, times 100 milligram per dl, which is the glucose standard which is the glucose concentration standard in the test tube for standard. So we multiply by 100. So whatever we get, that is the reading on the spec, which is observance, we read using 520 nanometer wavelength, 520 nanometer. So whatever we get in our test, we record it down. Whatever we get in the standard, that is our observance of standard, we also record it down. Then we divide So the formula will be absorbance of test, which is the patient sample, divided by absorbance of standard times 100. Now the 100 here is the glucose, is the standard glucose concentration. So whatever we get, our result will be issued out in milligram per dl. Now, in clinical chemistry, in medical laboratory generally, whatever is being done has a principle. So glucose manual also has a principle. Now the principle behind glucose manual test. Now it is not just enough for you to know the procedure for running glucose test, but also know the principle behind it. This is what makes you know what you are doing. This distinguishes you from a quack. So the principle behind it is that glucose oxidase. Glucose oxidase is an enzyme which oxidizes beta-D glucose. In other words, enzymatic method only works on beta-D glucose. So glucose oxidase breaks down beta-D glucose into gluconic acid and hydrogen peroxide. Then another enzyme called hydrogen peroxidase also breaks down hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygen. Now the end product of this reaction is the formation of aminophenolbenzoil. Now aminophenolbenzoil is what gives us this pink color we have here. So this pink color is a result of the formation of aminophenolbenzoil. So this brings me to the end of procedure for running manual glucose test. And I want to thank as many of you that will support my video by watching it and also sharing to your friends. And I also want to dedicate this video to Almighty God for the strength, for the wisdom, for the knowledge and the opportunity that He has given to me to acquire this knowledge. And also big thanks to my boss, Mr. Tuesho, for the opportunity he gave to me, for the teaching that he gave to me during my first training at Butemeta. And I also want to thank the member of the staff of Mainland General Hospital for the opportunity. Also greater thanks to my parents, my siblings, my loved ones, and my friends who, because of them, I'm shooting this video so that they can also gain knowledge. I really want to appreciate your thanks. I also want to thank some of my students in my department, also the class governor Ridwan, and my classmates in general, and also those that are so close to me, Jolowa Esther, Oyumi Oluwatobloba, my very close friend, who I developed special likeness for, and let me say love also. I really love her so much for support also, and advice. Big thanks to you all. I love you all, and I'm urging you all to support my video by watching and sharing to your friends. Thanks so much, and God bless you. I appreciate.